Like, what are we doing? It's Bill Belichick. If he's not a first ballot Hall of Fame coach, then who is? Like, are we gonna penalize Tom Brady for Deflategate?
That's the thing.
If they do that,
if you're keeping it with Bill Belichick, you got to keep it the same way with Tom Brady because he was technically a part of Spygate and Deflategate and all that.
This is gonna sound like so much hate, and I swear it's not.
Welcome back to part 2 of the Warner Brothas Podcast. Kyle, joined by my brother Keenan. Once again, welcome back, Keenan. I'm joined by Timmy G. Fellas, what's going on? We talked about the head coaching carousel on top of some random hypotheticals. We talked about if Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or Joe Burrow, in fact, will ever get a Super Bowl. We talked about Mike Tomlin coaching the NBA, and we talked about the Pittsburgh Steelers and what their future might look like, among many other things. Fellas, we're going to review championship weekend. We're going to look ahead a little bit to the Super Bowl. Next week will officially be Super Bowl week, so that's when you'll really get the Super Bowl content. We are going to review. So, and Keenan's got personal comebacks. He said he's been listening to our podcast. He said he's got something to address. So we will get to that at the end of the podcast. But first, we will start with championship weekend. We'll start with Patriots Broncos. And Keenan, we'll start with you.
I texted Kyle during this game. I was seeing like how nervous he was for this game and like how he felt nervous. And I know it was Jarrett Stidham, and I understand that it's obviously a backup quarterback, but we're in Denver, a place that we've never won, especially in the playoffs. We just play bad. In my lifetime, it's been 3 specific times. I remember all games very vividly. And I was nervous throughout the whole game, especially after the throw to Mims. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. It's like it'd be just like the Patriots to lose to a backup quarterback. It was like, it was like water, like here. So I was nervous, but we got the win. I did not think the weather was going to do that in the second half. And I was at work, but thank God, speaking of that weather, the weather here you guys have gotten it too on the East Coast, that huge storm, the ice, the snow. No one wanted to come into the store. Can't blame them. Why would you want to come into a Dick's Sporting Goods store when it's not good driving weather at all? So I got to watch the game pretty much unimpeded for the entirety of the game. So good. I'm just glad that we got the win. The AFC Championship game has been Brady's worst round. I'm saying Brady just because obviously talking about the Patriots in a whole, like Brady, when you go through stats, didn't really see him on Wild Card Weekend. Didn't play there much, especially with the 2 byes for the most of his career. Didn't really see him much on Wild Card Weekend. Phenomenal in divisional round, or really good in divisional round. Phenomenal in the Super Bowl. Championship round was always the game where he was, It was basically, for me, it was just get to the Super Bowl. I don't care how it looks. I don't care how we just get to the game. And so for me personally, having that as my background, did we play a great game offensively? Of course not. We didn't look good early, and then late, obviously it was just you couldn't really do a whole lot, but I don't really care because we got there. Don't really care. We got there, and so I'm just very happy that we got there.
Tim, you not being a Pats or Broncos fan, how did you view this game? How was this game as a viewer with the snowstorm, with it being a back quarterback, with it being a Patriots team that hasn't looked great on offense throughout the playoffs? What did you think of this game strictly as a viewer? And then you can tell me your thoughts analytically about the game.
It was pretty boring, especially that second half. Once the blizzard started, I get it. Like, that is kind of how it works. Like, you're not going to be as good in offense. But we have seen teams flourish in blizzards. I remember the Bills 49ers game where the Bills were just dominating in that game. And it was because they know how to play in the snow and other teams don't. We didn't really see any success in the second half once the blizzard started. Offensively, I'm worried about the Patriots. Fun fact, this is the least amount of points scored by a Super Bowl team in history. 2025 New England Patriots. No team has scored less points in the playoffs than that. I would say Drake May didn't look great. He didn't look necessarily bad. And the stat line, you can contribute that to the blizzard. That makes sense. There was really only one or two throws that I like remember being like, that was a good throw. I remember the Mac Hollins throw on short yardage, drops it right in. Perfect throw, looks really good. But when I think about Mac Jones, or not Mac Jones, Drake May this weekend.
There's not really much of a difference for what Patriots Mac Jones wasn't like. Obviously, I'm a Patriots guy, and we've obviously talked about it. But like, genuinely, in the first couple games, I think that Drake pretty much every time that he had true opportunities was hitting his throws for the most part. I think a lot of the problems with him first two games were like obviously the turnovers. This game, there were some. He was just off. And I know the report came out today that he was going into the game with a right shoulder thing, which you should put on the injury report if that's actually going to be a thing or not a thing. I don't know. But like this game, he was legitimately off on the times where he did have a clean pocket.
I agree. I definitely saw quite a few throws where I was like, that's not Super Bowl win worthy right there. Like that's not going to hold up in Seattle, or not in Seattle, but against Seattle next 2 weeks here.
100%.
Where he did excel this weekend was getting the yardage with his feet. Like he was taking off and running, getting some very pivotable points in the game. The touchdown, converting off the fumble that should have been a touchdown. That play actually blew my mind because one ref was letting it play on, and he was like this close to calling it a touchdown, and then he looked around and got a signal from another ref that waved it off and was like, don't call it a touchdown. So that just doesn't
always
there's no
let
reason
it
not
play.
to. Exactly, because then you can go back and be like, there you go.
Every scoring play is reviewed. So when in doubt, if you're like, I'm not sure, just let it play out, because then you get the benefit of the doubt where it's like, I was just letting it play out. Even if it was like, I was just letting it play out, because what if it wasn't? Like, you always just let it play. Always.
It works out for them because like 2 plays later they end up scoring anyways. But
it didn't make a difference, but like always let it play out.
I definitely almost got a worse feeling this week than I did from the Patriots last week, like without a doubt. Like I'm a little bit more worried for their Super Bowl win chances than I was going into this week, because I was expecting them to win, but I was expecting them to score some points, and they didn't really do that offensively at all. Like just 3 points offensively, really, if you don't count that touchdown, like we said. Sean Payton, you should retire, man. That was just so sad to watch, man. Like not only on the 4th and 1 do you go for it, but there were 2 points in this game where they should have just kicked a field goal and they went for it. And then when they do kick a field goal, it's not till it's a blizzard out and it ends up getting blocked a little bit. So it's like, why not go up 10-0, put a little bit of pressure on them? You're up 2 scores now at home when your defense is playing great. Why wouldn't you want to do that? Especially when you have a backup QB at the helm. That just does not make sense.
Sean Payton's always flexed his ego at times. Like there's some times where he did too much with Taysom Hill too in New Orleans. Like
on every press conference, he's like, this week he was like, "Oh yeah, we'll be playing in 2 weeks. I'm very confident in my backup. We're gonna win this game." He was just so cocky, and it's like.
It's good that and it's good that you have confidence, but go out there like I have a lot of confidence that Jared Stidham is going to be able to execute the game plan that we're going to put forth, and I believe he gives us a good chance to win this game and hopefully represent it. But Patriots are a very tough team. We're going to be going in there. We're going to be really focused. It's going to take all 53 guys on this roster to get it done this week. It's easy. It's an easy answer.
Just go look at Hall of Fame coach Bill Belichick's press conferences and be like, that's what you need to do every single time.
Not first ballot. Don't worry, he's not first ballot.
We're going to talk about that.
Not first ballot.
I have some news on that too. Just saw it on Instagram. But
is it about them possibly firing voters? Is that the same?
A bunch of people. They said that if people violated bylaws, they will remove them. And then I was looking earlier, and dude, you should just go look at the list of voters. I don't even know what gave them like the credibility to be on a Hall of Fame voting panel in the first place. It just doesn't make sense to me. But back to the game. Sean Payton, just take the 3 points, man. You're up 10-0. Also, on the fourth down call, why the hell are we bootlegging out to the right side? You immediately cut the entire field in half on a 1-yard play that you need to get. Why aren't we designing some rush up the middle? We need 1 yard, and your quarterback is 6'3" tall. He can't just reach for it. No, let's put him in a position where he has to throw for it. And not only that, let's roll him out to the right so everybody knows exactly where he's going to throw it. And let's just let him throw a pick. That makes a whole lot of sense, Sean Payton. So that's
Which is
stupid.
a better play if that's Bo Nix. You know what I mean? Who's got
100%.
speed.
I'll say this. Bo Nix wins them that game. 100%. That game does not end the way it did if Bo Nix was a QB. And Bo Nix isn't even like a top 10 QB or anything. Like, he just needs to play a little bit better than Stidham. And they absolutely win that game. So,
Yeah, man. Complete hubris by Sean Payton to talk about, the 4th and 1 call early on in the game when they're already up 7-0. Why wouldn't you just go up 10 there? Right? Like,
I was stoked.
That's
as a
number one
Patriots
law
fan, I
of
don't know
back
if you were
quarterback.
stoked, Kyle, but I was stoked when he went, like, when there was like, please go for it. Because I was like, we can get a stop here. And like, that was my thought.
I will respond to that, Keen. You asked me if I was nervous. You texted me during the game if I was nervous. The nerves never came. And after they went up 7-0, I was like, cool, maybe in the second half I will get like, I was kind of welcoming the nerves. And then the snow came, and I was like, oh, we're winning this game. I didn't even think twice about it. I literally did not even think twice about it. Once the snow came, I'm like, oh, we're winning this game. This benefits us. And that's kind of how this whole playoff run has been. It's kind of been like, all right, Herbert's down 2 tackles. We'll take advantage of that. Like, we're too well coached. We've only, correct me if I'm wrong, Keenan, that Bills comeback, that was our only loss since like week 6, correct? 3.
We lost to the Raiders 20-13 week 1. We beat the Dolphins week 2. We lost to the Steelers week 3 with 5 turnovers. And then the only other game we've lost since week 5 was that game to the Bills where we let them come back in the second half after up 24-7. I shouldn't say let them like we were like, oh yeah, just come back, but like where the Bills came back in the second half.
And again, back to the Sean Payton point real quick. It is funny that Josh Allen gives them 3 points at the end of the first half of last game. They take advantage of it as they should. And then, they're right in the Reds. I think they're inside their own 15, and he didn't take the points there. Comes back to bite them in this game. But back to the nerves and back to the Patriots. I've been saying this on this podcast, Keenan. I'm sure you've seen it, and I've been going back and forth with other Pats fans who listen to the show and other Pats fans in general. And John B from Is the Hype Real podcast, shouts to him.
Shout out John B.
I think he's more of a Patriots fan than me at this point. It sounds like it because he's on Drake May Island, Drake May friggin' whatever, friggin' neighborhood at this point. I don't know. Like, this dude loves Drake May, and by all means, like, he should, whatever. But I mean, people are taking what I'm saying about the Patriots as hate when there's no hate at all, right? And I'm kind of taking my comparisons of what I've seen in the past, right? From like, I've seen great Patriots games in the playoffs, so I know what a good win looks like from an elite team. This is a good team, not an elite team. This is you can even say a great team. I'm fine with that, but we haven't really seen that this playoffs. We've seen one side of the ball. And Keenan, I'm glad you said Drake May kind of looks like Mac Jones, because there was a clip we put out of me talking on the last podcast where I said Drake May has made the plays to win, but it's not exactly like when Tom Brady was doing it. And it sounds like a lot of hate. Like, when I saw that clip, I'm like, damn, that sounds like I'm being harsh. But it's true. He is making the plays. And excluding that 4th down run, because that was great. But like the other plays he had made in the Texans game and the Chargers game before that, they weren't in the 4th quarter, 2 minutes left, like when you absolutely need it. They were often in the 3rd quarter. And they were absolutely game-winning plays. They just weren't in money time. That's fine. That has nothing to do with Drake May. That's not his fault, right? But it's all to just say, like, this is a very different Patriots team. This is a very different playoff team than, even someone like the Bills or the Broncos, who we kind of expected to be here to some degree. So for the Patriots to be here and have a weird schedule, I won't say a weak schedule, but a weird schedule, actually should pull something up for you guys. It's very interesting about their schedule. And then get even more leniency in the playoffs. I would agree, as other Pats fans have told me, there's no such thing as an easy game in the playoffs. And I would agree that especially the Chargers and Texans and the Broncos, even, those are 3 tough defenses. I
All
got
three
that.
top 10 in points and top 6 in yards defense wise, and we're gonna be the first ever to go against 3 top 5 technically, and then the Seahawks. Like if they do it defensively, they faced 4 elite defenses in the 2025 NFL season.
Exactly. I'm not saying by any means they don't deserve to be in the Super Bowl. You play who you play, you get there, you win the games, you deserve to be in the Super Bowl. However, I've also seen enough teams earn their way to the Super Bowl where I can say, yeah, this is probably one of the weaker paths. It doesn't make it any less tough, just means it's a weaker path. It's a more interesting path. I don't think we've seen this many key injuries where it's like, okay, the one spot the Chargers couldn't lose was their offensive line. They lost at their offensive line, left tackle and right tackle. Okay. The one guy the Texans couldn't lose is Nico Collins on offense. That's the one guy they couldn't lose on offense besides CJ Stroud, obviously. Maybe that would have helped him, actually, after how he played. But they lose Nico Collins. Okay. That was a big part of why they lost. So I'm expecting, because of those injuries, I'm expecting the Pats to win. And they do win. So that leads me to not having nerves. The one guy the Broncos couldn't lose in this game going to the AFC Championship would be their starting quarterback. They lose their starting quarterback. So, yeah, I'm expecting them to win. That's basically how it's gone. Now they're actually going to get the Seahawks, who statistically are probably the best team in the league, who are going to be essentially fully healthy without Charbonnet. Excluding Charbonnet, they're going to be fully healthy. And we're actually going to see the Pats get a test. That's it. So, I'm kind of tired of going back and forth with Patriots fans because it's not hate at all. I very much love this team, but I just wanted to see them get challenged along the way. And they haven't, but they're here in part because they're so well coached. And they're going to be in many more games like this because they're well coached. But I would have liked to have seen Nico Collins on the Texans during these games, the Chargers at full strength during these games. I actually told Tim Keenan, you probably heard this. I told Tim last time, I think fully healthy, I think the Patriots and Chargers are very similar teams as far as talent,
Yeah,
as far as being well coached. I mean, we'll see what happens next year, but I do think if the Chargers had their full squad, I don't think their season looks much different from the Patriots. But moving on.
One thing I want to say before Timmy, I throw it back to you is a couple points actually on that. One, this is different because obviously, like, you guys both have a platform where we talk about sports, and obviously you guys have mentioned this every week, and it's not like you ever picked against the Patriots. A lot of people picked against the Patriots, against the Chargers. A lot of people did against the Texans, and then some people were trying to be the same way, and some people, like mainstream media, did against, and even in the championship game.
Last thing I want to say, Keenan, before you go on, I picked the Patriots at all 3 of these games.
No, that's why I'm not saying you, because you are on the other side where you're like, no, the Chargers have injuries. I'm picking the Patriots. Oh, no, Nico, Patriot. Oh, Stidham, Patriot. So, you were on that, but, there were people that are against that, which is why I think some Patriots fans, or I'm not one of them, actually, or some Patriots fans are like, you guys are discrediting something even though you guys are picking against us the week before. So, I wanted to quickly point that out, but you're not one of them because you literally have picked the Patriots to get to the Super Bowl, since you've seen what's transpired every single week. That's one. Two, not obviously I talk about this season quite often because it's kind of an NBA season that sticks out to me. But it was like the Warriors' first run always to me. No Mike Conley, no Drew Holiday against the Pelicans, and then in the NBA Finals, obviously we have in the Super Bowl the Seahawks are fully healthy, so it's a little different there. But in the championship, they had no Kyrie and no Kevin Love, so people are like, is this a real champion? You can validate this championship or even this run. If the Patriots even lose in a good game, you validate that, and you can even more so validate that too. Next season, you go 12-5 and you're beating teams up. So validate with a big schedule, big boy schedule, blah, all that good stuff there. And then the third thing was, I haven't obviously watched it, but I've obviously go back, look, read, and things like that. It kind of reminds you a little bit of 01. That 01 team, you have the Blizzard game, obviously, that was the Tuck Rule game, but you have the Blizzard game where it's 16-13. Obviously, in the championship game was against the 13-3 Steelers, where the Steelers we beat the Steelers, half Bledsoe, half Brady, and then we get to the Super Bowl, beat the greatest show on turf, 20-17. So this kind of feels like that first run where it's been a very defensive led, and then the quarterback makes plays when he's needed to. I thought Drake May was probably a B- against the Chargers. Probably C plus to B minus ish. I thought that in the second half he played really well. First half wasn't great. Against the Texans, I would have put him a solid B. Think he fumbled too much, but I think that 100 passer rating, 3 passing touchdowns hadn't been done against that Texans team all year. That one to Kayshon Boutte down the sideline was a dot, even a great catch too, maybe even a better catch. And then last game, probably a C minus. I think in the elements, he didn't throw the ball great, but the one big thing with him was turning the ball over. He didn't turn the ball over once, so that's key. You ran for first downs and really orchestrated the game-winning drive early in the third when that big run to get him into field goal range and those kind of things. So I think he's probably overall in this playoffs, I'd probably give him like a B minus. It's been like an 81. When in the regular season, he's been a 95, 94. So like,
I'd agree with that. B minus.
so obviously, B minus to B, he's been a step back, and like it's fine. It's in your first playoff game. But the cool thing with me is I think he's due for a big game, and finally, this is gonna be the first game where it's not like fine weather. Perfect. Like the Chargers game was still like really cold, and like obviously it's a little different. And then the Texans game was rainy and sloppy. I mean, like he hasn't played in good weather at all in the playoffs, and that's being in the AFC North, and then obviously having to go to the AFC West and the Denver. So I think he has a chance to actually be, because you get Kayshon Boutte who can run routes open. Yeah, but that Seattle defense is nasty. So like they're really good too, and it's not like I think they're going to blow them out by any means. But I think this could be a spot. And then I'll Timmy, if you have any thoughts, I was going to let you go there.
Let me ask you real quick, Keenan, because Tim mentioned this. Bo Nix plays in this game.
Yeah,
everything's the same, right? We get a blizzard in the second half. Who do you have winning this game with Bo Nix?
I mean, I would lean I think if you played the exact same way and the Patriots played the exact same way, then you'd have to lean Denver because I think you get it elevated there. But I don't think the game's played the same because I think you go into the game different if you have Bo Nix. I think the Patriots go into the game different if you have Bo Nix. I would still lean the Patriots, but it would make more sense for people to have Denver. And I'd be fine with it. I get it. I understand it 100%, but I think early on in the game, once we saw the sideways shuffle pass, Vrabel was like, wait. And then the first drive of the second half, the snow was starting to come. He was like, wait a second. We don't need anything but field position for the rest of the game now that we went up 10-7. He's like, I don't think this guy can get 30 yards on a drive. I mean, we all saw him 3rd and 8. Drake may roll out and throw the ball out of bounds. Like he just literally rolled out and chucked it out of bounds, not even looking to pass. So like we'll take a bad punt. We don't think this guy can drive a field. So I think you play those games.
And not even. I don't think that's necessarily specific to Drake May either. I think that was almost damn near any quarterback that's not like Josh Allen, Lamar. You know what I mean? Like
no, like Jarrett Stidham. I don't
like
think
no one
no
could throw in that weather.
100%. Like I think it just got to the point where he looked at Jarrett Stidham and was like, this guy's not moving the ball 30 yards on a drive, and we're up 3. I'm not taking a single chance. But if he trusts Bo Nix more and you can see he's having a little bit more success, you might call the plays differently. So it's hard for me to say it because I just think it'll be a completely different game. Lean Patriots, understand anyone who says the Broncos. But I just don't think you're playing even remotely the same game.
I pretty much agree with most of what you said there. I think when it comes to like discrediting the Patriots, like kind of what Kyle was talking about, I don't think we would discredit the Seahawks if they win the Super Bowl 24-21 or something like that. We wouldn't be like, oh, they had a cupcake Super Bowl. Nobody would say that. So it is kind of like it's give and take. Yeah, they had an easier path, but they are a formidable opponent. It should be a good game. Like unless they get blown out, and then that will be the narrative that it was just like a super easy cupcake schedule. Then it'll be a good game, I think. So I pretty much agree with pretty much everything Keenan said. Yeah, just trying to think if there's anything. I don't have anything.
Okay. Moving on to Seahawks Rams. Tim, I'll start with you here. What stuck out to you the most during this game? Like, what are you going to remember most when people ask you about the 2025 NFC Championship game? What's going to be the one thing that sticks out to you?
I'm definitely going to remember with the Rams, they had a decent amount of time on the clock, and you guys brought it up in the group chat. They should have taken the 3, because then it completely changed the game. Like, if they're betting on themselves to get a stop, get the ball back, get into field goal range, now they win the game. It's not going for a touchdown every single time. But I'm also going to remember Sam Darnold playing some damn good football. That was something that we were kind of worried about was, this whole thing could come crashing down if he just doesn't play well. But he went out there, he was slinging it. Offense was rolling. JSN looking great. Kenneth Walker looking great. And then they get the ball back. I believe they have like 7-8 minutes on the clock in the fourth. And they did what I've been saying teams need to do all damn year long. They killed the clock. They put together a nearly 6-minute drive, got all the way down to about the 40, and then they punted it. That's exactly what they needed to do there. They needed to kill as much clock off as they could. If they get points, even better. But let's limit what the Rams can do with what time they have. We saw so many teams this year, when they need to be killing clock, they're taking end zone shots and things like that. And
Packers were the worst.
Exactly. So I think they played at a Super Bowl caliber level, and I really like their chances in this year's Super Bowl.
Keenan, what will you remember most from this game?
Sam Darnold outdueled Matt Stafford. He was better on 3rd and 4th down. I know when you look at the numbers, they're about the same. But like when it comes down to it, the money downs, 3rd down, 4th down, Stafford was over, and Darnold wasn't. Darnold outdueled Matt Stafford. That's what I'm gonna remember, and I'm gonna remember if things go as well. Like if he wins the Super Bowl, even if he doesn't, if he just plays well in the Super Bowl, it's Darnold becoming at least in the conversation of being a top 10 quarterback in the league. Like that's just where we realistically have to be now. So
he was definitely top 10 all this year.
Yeah, no, he back half of the season he was starting to flirt around with the how good is he again? Because like he didn't have to do a lot in the wins, and he wasn't doing a lot in the wins, but they were still winning games because their defense is so good. And that was another thing, too, that I also want to mention. This is not the game for it, but the team I want to mention. People have been talking about how great this Houston defense is, and this Houston defense is great. But I feel like sometimes they haven't been putting Seattle's defense right next to Houston. I think that they're neck and neck. Like, I think that they're right there with each other. Seattle's defense is just as good as Houston's. Like, they're amazing, especially like tackling and like they're physical, quick, long, athletic. Like they're everything about Seattle's defense. They play, which is going to be difficult for the Patriots to have to deal with. So which makes me extremely nervous for in this front for the game. But Sam Darnold cementing himself to me as a top 10 quarterback really in the league. It's what I'm going to remember from that specific game. And maybe the last time we see Matt Stafford play in a huge moment, a huge spot. Don't know. I mean, he could get there next year if he plays next year even, but it could be the last game, like great game we see of Stafford in high leverage.
You never know with these quarterbacks. You know, like Max Kellerman famously said years ago on First Take, like these quarterbacks fall off a cliff. So it definitely could happen with Stafford. I think kind of like what Tim said, I think the first thing that'll come to my memory is the fact that the Rams didn't take the points there in the fourth quarter. Not because they didn't take the points necessarily, but because it reminded me so much of a game we actually brought up a couple weeks ago, Buccaneers-Packers, where Matt LaFleur took the points instead of going for it on 4th down and trying to go for the score against Tom Brady and expected to get the ball back. So it reminded me a lot of that. It was like, okay, if they don't take the points here, you kind of understand why, but it's like, all right, it could come back to bite you. Because even if, let's say they do kick the field goal there, and they got to obviously play defense, like it's still going to be the same amount of time. You don't have to be as desperate and use your timeouts as early as they did. One of the reasons I ended up picking the Rams in this game, and one of the reasons I was so scared, besides it being the 3rd divisional matchup between these two teams, one of the reasons why I was so scared of that pick and rolling with the Rams, I did not think McVay coached a good game at all against Chicago. He took the ball out of Stafford's hands repeatedly in key situations. And I don't think he coached a good game against the Panthers, to be honest, either. And then they go in against a team that's equal to them, at the least equal to them, if not better. And it proved to be better, apparently, right? They're in the Super
Mm-hmm.
Bowl. And I mean, I think he coached a better game, but it's like, all right, something's got to give at this point. If you have two kind of subpar coaching games and you kind of limp your way to the NFC Championship, you better coach a lights out game. And, the team themselves didn't have a lights out game. They probably played good enough to win by, the fact that it was a 1-score game, but they weren't sharp around the edges. They weren't as sharp as, like you said, the Seahawks were. Darnold was better on 3rd and 4th down when they needed to be. That defense is expertly coached against every
Special
other team.
teams.
Special teams, and that's the big thing. That's really what lost in this game was that special teams play. What was it? That was in the 3rd quarter, or was that late 2nd quarter? I can't
Third
remember, but
quarter. Because like
that really
it happened, and then the next play, Darnold threw a dart to Jake Bobo for a
right.
touchdown, and they
That's
went
right.
up, and then that if that doesn't happen per se, and even like whatever the Tariq Woolen play, like golly, like what do we do? Like the taunting, like that was excessive taunting, and then the next play you're getting burned by Nakobe. The Seahawks lost
It's a
that game.
weak call. That was extremely weak call on the Woolen unnecessary rough day or whatever the hell they call there.
Unsportsmanlike because he was
Unsportsmanlike conduct. Yes,
he
yes.
was on the sidelines, and he was just the ref kind of told him to stop, and he was continuing. I think that's why they ended up telling him.
Maybe so, but I
Yeah.
still thought it was weak. But I mean, regardless, they still win the game. But yeah, like you said, Keenan, Seahawks are better on special teams. You need to be good in all 3 phases when it comes to championship weekend. And it's weird for how elite the Seahawks not only were this year, but how elite the Niners have been during their reign in the NFC West, that the special teams is a weak spot for them. I wonder why that is. And it's,
Yes.
to me, if we're looking down the line, Keaton, you're talking about Stafford, I'm really interested to see what the second half of this team is going to look like and what the second half of Sean McVay's career, or maybe the 3rd iteration of Sean McVay's career is going to look like. Because he had Goff and then he had Stafford. And then I would expect within at least 2, maybe 3 years that Stafford will, have moved on. So I'm
not
very
gonna
interested to see
lie.
where this team goes.
If I'm the Rams, I know this is difficult. I might be wheeling and dealing a bit. They have 2 firsts this year because of the Falcon. They have the Falcons first this year. I think I'd be trading that for a next year first from a team that could be either or. And then you can double up first next year and maybe trade for a quarterback in a quarterback-rich draft. Because then you put yourself in the situation of, oh, we've got a lot of quarterbacks to choose from, so we don't have to have the 1-1 to get like a guy who we think is talented. And then we put faith in whomever it is. We've got Sean McVay, so we can so he can become a guy, even if we have to sit for a year. Like, hey, Jacoby Brissett, come in for a year, and this team will still be serviceable while we bring this guy to speed. Like, whatever the case may be, I would personally look to trade that Falcons pick. I know it's difficult to think that because you're still thinking we could
It's a
draft.
luxury to have, though.
It's a luxury. That's the thing. Like, you can draft somebody who can be beneficial for you next year. But also, I was thinking, like, for me on a long-term view, I might, if there's not someone I love, I might try to trade it for a next year pick, because then I can double up, maybe move up if I need a guy, and not have to give up the farm in the future and get a guy at quarterback. So if Stafford comes back this year, obviously. Even if he doesn't.
Trade to someone like the Browns that you know is going to be bad. And
someone like the Browns, or like maybe the Cardinals are like, with 2 first-round picks this year, we can do something, and they're like still within. I know you wouldn't probably trade within division. I mean, with that, but like just a team like that where you're like, I don't know, or the Titans where it's like, I don't think the Titans are turning it all the way around next year. So like the Titans will be like, yeah, we can give you a first next year. We feel like we're going to be like that kind of thing. I don't know if it works, doesn't work, whatnot, but that's what I would look to do if I'm the Rams. I just think that'd be interesting, especially because you have McVay for so long as he wants to coach at least. And you trust the fact that if we can get, what if Arch is in like a top 1 pick, and what if he's like the 7th? It's like, oh, we got Arch, or we got whomever. There's so many guys next year that at least have some talent. Just a thought.
Listen, we will be talking about the Seahawks and the Patriots much more during
Yes.
Super Bowl week. Bill Belichick. This was surprising news yesterday. Did not get voted in. Got 40 out of 50 votes to be first ballot, but ultimately
No,
did
he
not
didn't get 40 yet. We don't know how many he got. So like we do, like, he literally he didn't get up to 40 because you need 40 plus to get in. So literally he could have gotten like 39 or could have gotten 0. We don't know the answer, which is why I think there's this
So I completely read it wrong. I read it as he needed 50. He got 40.
No, there's 50 voters. You need at least 40. You need at least 80% for him to get to be a first ballot. So at least 11 people said no. And the only thing you could think of would be Spygate. That's it. It's the only way someone would be like, yeah, we're going to keep him out for Spygate. But even without that, he is a Hall of Fame coach. You could take out literally the 2000s and just say, hey, for the entire 2000s, we don't like Bill Belichick. Take the whole decade out, and he is still a Hall of Fame coach. So like it's at the point where, are you that mad at it? This isn't the MLB. This isn't like you're keeping Pete Rose and Roger Clemens out. Like this is like where they have such a high standard for that kind of immoral stuff. Like, what are we doing? It's Bill Belichick. If he's not a first ballot Hall of Fame coach, then who is? Like, are we gonna penalize Tom Brady for Deflategate?
That's the thing.
If they do that,
if you're keeping it with Bill Belichick, you got to keep it the same way with Tom Brady because he was technically a part of Spygate and Deflategate.
And like Spygate, if you don't want to put that on Tom, like because obviously he wasn't like there, like part of that coaching staff, then sure. But obviously he was suspended for Deflategate, even though I think that's the dumbest gate I've ever. Like what? They won 28-0 in the second half with regulated footballs and then beat the Seahawks 28-24 the next week as if these deflated footballs were going to make a difference on anything. That's a sidebar and a whole nother conversation because this is not about Tom Brady. But if they take Tom Brady out of first ballot, like he shouldn't even be allowed to be voted on. It's just like in the room, like, oh, he's with me. Oh, come on. He's with me. He's already got the jacket. It's already over here from Peyton Manning's like, yeah, he's actually with me. We're over there. It's like him, Peyton Manning too. Like, yeah, he's with me. I'm just in. Come on. Like, what are we doing? Bill Belichick, 8 Super Bowls, 2 as a DC, but 8. I mean, like, it's your whole coaching career now. Is it because of his young girlfriend? Is that bothersome to people? Like, don't want her there. She might take the mic from him and not allow him to speak. Like, what? Like, what are we talking about? If he's not a Hall of Fame coach, first ballot, then maybe only Phil Jackson is. Maybe. Like, what are we doing? Sorry.
Timmy, your thought.
What's kind of worse about this whole thing was they brought up Spygate and that I can't remember the person's name, but they said that this one voter was going around talking to other voters saying that they thought he should wait a year because of Spygate. They interviewed him after, and he says, "Oh, I don't remember that."
Bill Polian. And Bill Polian.
It was probably Bill Polian.
Bill Polian says a lot of outlandish things. It was Bill Polian. Like,
if that was not influenced, like if that didn't happen, and say, what if he is telling the truth that he did not do that? What the hell is going on? Like, how were there more than 10 people that are like, 6 Super Bowls, a dynasty, 20 years of dominance? No, I think that 1 year with Cam Newton really says it all. I don't think he's that a Hall of Fame coach. Like, come on. Like, this is, as a Giants fan, as a fan of not the Patriots, and watched this dynasty exist for 20 years, he's a Hall of Fame coach. Everybody should have voted. It should have been 50 out of 50 votes for him to be a Hall of Fame first ballot coach.
Just putting my hand up real quick, Kyle, before I let you guys continue on. If Eli Manning beats the Buffalo Bills twice in the Super Bowl, Just say the Bills get there. Oh, no, actually, I'll put a good team. Say the Ravens get there twice, and they just beat the Ravens. Is Eli a Hall of Famer? I know Eli's obviously not, but, like, is he in the conversation? I think it's because he beat the 16-0 Patriots that were 18-0 going into the game, and then beat Tom Brady and Bill Belichick again. That's why. If he just beat two random teams in the Super Bowl, if it was just the Ravens one year and the Steelers another year, two teams that were really good during the time, I don't know if that gets him in. I genuinely don't. I think it's because he's beat specifically the Patriots. And if he is that good that he's getting other people into Hall of Fame contention, I think he's probably first ballot. That's just my idea, my thoughts. I don't know. I'm just a civilian.
I was also Keenan going to bring up Eli, but mainly because we brought him up at this point last year. And I was kind of like, listen, first ballots for someone like you don't even have to think about it. You don't have to think about it. And you know they're a Hall of Famer, right?
Yeah.
Which is why, like, and this is a completely different topic, but like, I kind of get a kick out of when people just say, like, without even thinking, people are like, oh, Mike Evans is a Hall of Famer.
What?
I kind of sit there like, I could argue it. I could argue that he's not. You know what I mean?
Without thinking? I don't know about that.
What do you mean? I don't.
No,
I'm not saying
I agree with you.
I'm saying when people just talk about him as a Hall of Famer in general.
I was like, to me, he's not a no doubt Hall of Famer.
Exactly.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm agreeing with you.
I see where you got confused, though. I brought it up in the same
without thinking about it. Like, okay, let's calm down, guys. But no, I don't think he's a surefire Hall of Famer.
That was my argument with Eli last year. Was like, okay, maybe he eventually gets in, but first ballot's reserved for Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Jerry Rice, Randy Moss. Should have been Terrell Owens.
Yes.
And Terrell Owens, they made weight because of all his problems with his teams, which I thought was cheap. And I thought it was especially cheap because it was media. If you told me this was like his peers voting him in and it was all coaches, then maybe I could say, okay, they know a bit more than media, or they were in the locker room with this guy, then okay. Even then, I'd still not agree because it's on the field. But okay, they made T.O. wait a year. Again, I think that's cheap. When I saw this yesterday, I thought it was fake. I saw Bill Belichick trending, number one. I'm like, did he get fired? Is he like randomly in the candidacy for an NFL team? Like, what's going on here? And I see that he did not get voted in on the first ballot. And I'm like, seems weird. I don't know if that's real, but if that's real, like, that's bullshit. And I kind of was like exasperated by it. Like when I first saw it, I was like, wow, this is interesting. I don't really know what to make of it, honestly. I couldn't be angry at it. You know what I mean? Like eventually he's going to get in, but I'm like, all right, clearly this has to do with Spygate and Deflategate and all the other gates. And I get it. He had a checkered past, but the difference between him and T.O. did get suspended by teams. Belichick never served a suspension, right? They found some wrongdoing to do with Deflategate, and Roger Goodell burned all the tapes and all the evidence, and we'll never know what actually happened there, whatever. But he never served a suspension. He won, count them, 6 Super Bowls just as a head coach, and as Keenan said, 2 more as a defensive coordinator. A big part of those Giants teams, by the way, as the defensive coordinator. And if you ask anybody who were his peers, that's not apparently Bill Polian or Tony Dungy, they would tell you that like he is coaching excellence. The best way Keenan have ever heard Bill Belichick described as a coach was that he'll beat you with his, and then if he wanted to, if you flipped the roles and you let him coach the other team, he'd find the weakness in his own team and beat you with yours. That's the best way I've ever heard Bill Belichick described because it's absolutely true. That dude can coach any team you give him.
There's maybe one NFL coach in history, or one coach in football history that you might be able to like, maybe he can get over, and it'd be Nick Saban. Would be the only person, like if you said head to head, like this guy is going to be better than Bill, it might be just Nick for like what he did in his sport because he's 7. So like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
And like I said, my initial thought to this was pathetic, and then I understood where they were coming from with Spygate and all that. And even if you look at it from the lens of that's what the MLB did to Barry Bonds and all them, except they're never getting in, which that's insane.
But
That's
like,
insane.
it'd almost be better if that was the case for it. And I don't mean better because like I think it's ridiculous that Barry Bonds is not in. But why hold them for 1 year? What does that do?
That's
Like,
the thing.
what-
They made it. That was my biggest takeaway from it, Keenan, was they made it about themselves in this case. They couldn't beat him during their career, so they said, "Hey, we're going to hold you out of this one." And it was absolutely Bill Polian. Bill Polian famously hates Bill Belichick for those years in the Patriots-Colts rivalry. Whatever. So
I'd hate him
ultimately,
too.
the unfortunate thing about this is it makes the Pro Football Hall of Fame look bad more than it makes anybody on Bill Belichick's side or Bill Belichick look bad. Like Tim said, everyone who's spoken about it since, even fans who hate Bill Belichick, are like, yeah, dude, that's a first ballot Hall of Famer right there. Like, there's no fucking question about it. So it makes the Pro Football Hall of Fame look bad. And honestly, after I processed it, I was kind of like, oh, this is just like when he was our coach again. Like, it's us against the world. Like, I kind of love this. It made me feel like Bill Belichick was this WWE type heel once again, because that's how it was when Belichick and Brady were at the helm. Like, nobody loved us, nobody liked us, and it was fun. Maybe that's why I haven't warmed up to this Patriots team yet, because so many people like this team, and maybe I just need them to be hated. Maybe that's what it is with me. I don't know.
Listen,
But
it probably is. They just need something like controversial to happen in their favor and in the Super Bowl, and then you'll love them again, like the
maybe
way
that's what
before.
it is.
Because, like, I mean, you have to think that first run had the tuck rule, so people were already like, "Come on!" But then they won the Super Bowl as the first one, and then you win more, and then Spygate comes out. It's like, of course they were cheating, and then they go 16-0. I keep saying 17 games. Like, there's just obviously you can talk about the whole thing. We were just always hated, and it was good. But like, I love the fact that this team is how they are now. But yeah, no, Bill Belichick's insane. It's just insane. Like, why keep him out for 1 year? Like, what does it do? I just don't know what it does.
And now, as Tim brought up, now they're looking into like what happened behind the scenes. Like, this is going to be a way bigger story than it ever needed to be, because someone wanted to make a point to Bill Belichick, which is silly. And Keenan, exactly what you said is the even better point. If they're going to do this to Bill Belichick, they better do this to Tom Brady. And they won't dare do it to Tom Brady because people now like Tom Brady. People still hate Bill Belichick.
If they did this to Tom, and this would bring up a point, like, we just need to, the record books just need to change. And like the NFL, like, archives and record books need to change anyway, because this, like, the fact that we're going to have to say Pro Bowler Shedeur Sanders, Matt Stafford has 3 and Shedeur has 1, and Tyler Huntley has a Pro Bowl.
We did talk about this last podcast at the beginning before you showed up.
But like, what are we doing? Like, and you know me, Kyle, Timmy, you know me. I am a analytical kind of guy. Like, the all-time conversations, having these talks, all NBA teams and things like that for the NBA, Pro Bowls, all pros, MVP seasons, top 5 finishes, things like that. To me, they matter. They matter because when you're having these fun but unnecessary and unneeded conversations about who's better than who, I can point to, well, Drew Brees is better than this, but he had 4 top 2 finishes for like he was one of the 2 best quarterbacks in the league. Is why I also leaned to Eli Manning. I was like, was he ever good during the regular season? Really? Like, we're going to put him in the Hall of Fame off of 2 Super Bowls, but if he had 3 he had like 5, 6, 7 Pro Bowls or whatever, had some top MVP finishes, you would then be like, well, look at this, he was still top during at least this season. So these things matter, and the fact that someone one day is going to be like, yeah, Shedeur Sanders is a Pro Bowler, so what do I care about the Pro Bowl for that Brady made however many? It's like,
the good thing is about that, Keenan, I think at least today's football fans, when they look at that, they have seen Stu Huntley and other replacements at this point be a Pro Bowler and Shedeur, so they'll all know, like, all right, Pro Bowl's a joke now.
Yeah,
my question to Tim was
20 years.
True, and by then it'll still be a joke. I'm guessing it'll be even more of a joke. My thing is, what is the process? And I said this to Tim before you showed up. What is the process that gets him to Tyler Huntley or Shedeur Sanders before, like, even a Joe Burrow who didn't play a full season, but it's like, all right, it's Joe Burrow. Let's get him there.
I
for the
think
fans.
they asked 4 people and they all said no. And
If that's the
then,
case-
but my
that's the
point
case,
is,
you
like,
can't even.
and
I
you
don't even
can't.
know.
I just think that, like,
And maybe I can't talk
Don't-
about it because I've never seen this flag football game. But why can't you have like? Why then? Let's say all the good quarterbacks said no. Why then don't ask like the next available running back and then like because
Yeah.
it's flag football. Why can't you
Yeah.
just freaking put
you-
whoever
fair.
at quarterback?
And to me too, I would just say, hey, you can go, Shador, but you're just not a Pro Bowler. Like, just on the reference, like, just the stuff matters. So, like, on the reference, just don't have him as a Pro Bowler.
You
Like,
can
he
ride
was-
the bus.
Like, he just wasn't a Pro Bowler because he was 7 touchdowns to 10 picks this season, I think. He's just not a
And
Pro Bowler.
He didn't even play a full season.
He's just not a pro. Joe Burrow was
Should
a
at least
much
have, like,
better
a 10-game
was a
requirement.
much better quarterback than him this year and played less, I think. Like, just gonna upset me. Sorry, Timmy, you go on. Sorry, I had the stuff just.
I just real quick before we move on. I've shouted out this NFL channel, one of my favorites on YouTube. It's NFL Throwback. I just had to laugh because it's popped up on my notifications. Do you think Bill Belichick should have been a Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer? The options are yes, 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 and yes. So it made me laugh. So before we go on, Tim, go ahead.
I got 2 things.
Yeah.
One, this allows Bill Belichick to do the funniest thing ever, which is just get a coaching gig next year and have another Hall of Fame career and just destroy. He's like, you know what? You didn't get enough of me. I wasn't a first ballot. I'll do it again. That would be great. And then 2, this does shine light on who actually gets to vote on these things. And I was extremely intrigued by this because, like I said, I couldn't find 50 people that watch ball that would say he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. So I went and looked, and they posted the list of voters. 32 of the voters are radio people from the cities of NFL teams. So they report on their teams. Sure, maybe that makes it. Then they have 17 at-large bids, which they change every year, I guess. A lot of these people have no more credentials than you. They've just been like tweeting about football for a long time, or they were like an editor at The Athletic or something like that. Why do these people get to determine history? This is the NFL Hall of Fame, and you're allowing this to happen? Like, I absolutely think they should take some of these votes away from people. And I think they should make this maybe half the votes are from actual coaches that are in the Hall of Fame. They know what it takes to be a Hall of Fame coach. Maybe those are the votes that need to be given, not just Joe
agree.
from The Athletic in Denver. Like, who's Joe? I have no idea. He's just been talking about ball for a long time. That's it.
Tim, I agree with you. I think Bill Belichick should apply to become a head coach again in the NFL. Maybe get hired. And if he does, like, they made a mockery out of him, he should coach exclusively as a furry for his first season back.
He should be the Raiders head coach. So you have Tom Brady overseeing the operation with Bill Belichick there, and then just run off another dynasty, and then just say, "Hey, what are you gonna do with this?"
Oh man,
It would have been cool if he was actually the Buffalo Bills head coach. I mean, it would have been cool for everybody but me as a Patriots fan. But God,
people talked about that, and that would have been very interesting. It apparently was not close to happening, but it would have been very interesting. And it seems like, unfortunately, we'll never see Bill Belichick in the NFL again, but we might. He still seems to have the passion for coaching, so it'll be if he ever wants to come back.
He might. I mean, the thing is his girlfriend's like almost out of college range. So like she's going to be graduating soon. So like when she graduates, she probably won't want to be in the college dorms anymore. She'll be over it. So like she's over the college dorm.
She'll want a GM job for wherever.
So she'll want to come back. She's like,
if we're hiring him as head
chair.
coach, am I going to be the GM? Is what she's going to want to do.